Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this podcast again. Today I'd like to talk about the whole area and condition of autism. People who are autistic, what does it mean for them to grow up with this kind of condition throughout their lives? Now, there are people who are on what we call the autism spectrum, and what I mean by spectrum is they struggle with their speech, behaviour and communication, and it becomes a real problem for them getting along in general daily life. So this is often a lifelong health condition which is sometimes identified as early as your childhood if you are struggling with this. You may find yourself struggling to communicate with others, as I've said, in ways that you're trying to make yourself understood and understand what they mean. You may be able to continue an independent life whilst other people with this condition struggle with disabilities, sometimes need some medication from the GP or require long-term care. So autism, however it impacts on you, it's possible that you often feel oppressed, marginalised by other people, and really misunderstood generally throughout your weekly lives, daily lives. And all this contributes to quite a lot of high levels of stress and anxiety for you, which can, for some people, create disruptive behaviour, because you're trying to make people understand what you're trying to say. By what you do, you're hoping that you'll be able to get some meaning out there so that people do understand what you're trying to say and mean. And often you may feel that you have to take things literally, not understanding the meaning that they want you to understand by what they're saying, but it's how you receive that. So there is a real pressure on you to need more time to really think about what's been said, to make some sense of it. And you may repeat what others are saying to you in order to try and, what we call, process, think about this, and take a lot more time over trying to really understand other people. So due to this difficulty in understanding other people, you may find it a struggle to also express your feelings, and this might make you feel overwhelmed and often very insensitive towards other people, what they're saying and how they're behaving in your company. And that might make you feel quite rejected, withdrawn and alone, because you feel people just don't understand what you're trying to say. And also what makes this worse is that you often lack the support as well as the understanding from other people. So you often may find yourself withdrawing into that isolated, lonely place. And this makes you question the world being a very confusing place for you. There are many rules which you find yourself experiencing in your daily, weekly life, but you're unable to understand them and how they apply to you because they've been set by other people, and you don't feel that you've been able to express to these other people how you do not understand these rules, and also why these rules exist for you. And what you find may be a great help to feel more in control of your life when you're struggling with all this is regular routines that help you feel that self-control back in your life. Some structure to your week, for example, helps you to get through and cope with the daily struggles and challenges that you're finding is placed on you. And sometimes you might use objects that you find helpful, where you repeat your movements with the objects. It might be, for instance, Play-Doh or something that you tap on a floor, or on a desk, because repeating the movements helps you gain more self-control, and it helps you to feel calmer and less stressed and anxious. So any change or disruption to your daily routine, as we've said, can lead to quite a lot of stress and anxiety, and dealing with many uncertainties and coping with the unknown future that we often all have to face can trigger quite a lot of worries and anxieties that many other people perhaps don't have to the extent you have. And so you feel very sensitive about what you touch, smell, taste, the sounds that you often hear, and the bright lights that you often see. And this is what we mean by sensory. So what do I mean by the word sensory? I mean the sensations, how you respond to these things with the sensations in your body. And depending upon what kind of issues that you're struggling with your autism, there's two different kinds of conditions, the hyposensory sensations. And if you are hypo regarding smells, you may sometimes feel the need to smell your own hands or smell other people, and maybe you don't like bathing. Whereas if you're hyper, you may avoid certain situations and places, social gathering, and you may want to escape crowds because that makes you feel quite overwhelmed. So then we look at the whole area of touch. If you're hypo, you feel that you probably bruise more easily than other people. Whereas if you're hyper, then you can easily get upset by people. Being close to you is a problem, or even touching your skin you find quite threatening. And sometimes you feel the need to remove your clothing because what you're wearing, you might feel that you need to put the labels on inside out. Thirdly, diet. If you're very hypo, you may enjoy many spiced foods, hot and cold extreme weather, lots of flavoured sauces in your food. Whereas if you're hyper, you may enjoy bland foods, enjoy mashed potatoes, pasta, rice, and you may be a very fussy eater. So how does this affect your sight? Well, if you're hypo, loud mixtures of colours and bright lights you respond to. And if you're hyper, you probably will avoid people's eye contact, and you'll need some shade from the sunlight, and often you find bright lights a problem. And then finally, how does this affect your body? Well, if you're hypo, as we've said, you'll be easily bruised, and often this need to rock is a real issue for you. And if you're hyper, you find yourself often fidgeting, needing to move around. Maybe you've got disturbed sleep. You need to be on the go all the time, running fast and then needing to stop. And then the whole area of balance in our life. If we're hyper, we often find that we need to be walking, spinning, maybe in a chair, rocking, moving around. And if we're hyper, we probably are completely the opposite. We dislike movement. We avoid community activities. So there are some of the ways that the sensations in your body affect your autistic struggles. And they stop you often mainly from focusing on what you're doing or what people are saying to you during this time. So they're like triggers that come into your daily routine and create more stress and anxiety. And you often try to distract yourself from these things in order to be able to cope with the anxiety, which is understandable. And yet some people who struggle with autistic traits have very high levels of intelligence or are good at highly focused interests. So what I mean is, you may find that with the autistic conditions that you've got, there are many strengths that you've got compared to other people in your life. You may be more intelligent, as I've said, and you may find that you're very good at highly focused interests. And what I mean by that is maybe some sports that you're very, very good at. So the autistic lifestyle sometimes gives you the strengths that other people don't see, that often perhaps you don't recognize and value as a human being. And this often high focused interest that you have may help you deal with very stressful feelings and help you channel some of your emotional energy in a very positive way that helps you to feel more in control and empowered as a person. And yet, even though this is a real positive achievement in your life, it can also prevent you from focusing on other areas of your life that you're neglecting, like your daily routines that you need to fulfill. For example, it might affect your sleeping, diet, and also you may find that your shopping is reduced, or you're not able to have enough of these things, which obviously affects the whole of your mental health. So there's a balance there to watch. And this brings us on to the whole area of how this condition of autism can create extreme anxiety. So I want to move on to how can counselling really help you if you're struggling with some form of autism condition. It can help you, as I've said, recognise what the triggers are, the things that trigger you and make you feel stressed, anxious and worried. It can help you to have some more self-awareness as to how you can cope and help and manage your anxiety, and find some understanding, positive ways of expressing and dealing with your emotions. So people struggling with autism often suffer from what is known as, and you've probably heard this word before, meltdowns. And these are times in your life when you feel unable to cope anymore. Maybe you're struggling like that at the moment. You often feel overwhelmed by situations due to some of the pressures from other people and pressures on you to get things done. And some of these pressures might be very unrealistic expectations from other people. And then if you put unrealistic expectations on yourself, this is going to make you feel more overwhelmed and unable to cope. And along with the anxiety of not feeling understood by others, all this adds to a life of retreating from the world. You may feel, I want to get out of here. And this is what we are known to understand as what we call shutdown. It's a time when you begin again to need the help and support of a professional such as a counsellor. So if you're not actually involved in counselling at the moment and you're going through this very, very difficult time and experiencing these very, very difficult extreme emotions and anxiety from some of the autistic condition you're struggling with, I'd like to explain to you how you can form some sort of action plan that will help you. From your counselling, you'll probably be able to identify how you can recognise the warning signs of your meltdown. The counsel will help you to understand the causes and learn to manage the triggers that help you work on what is known as, we've said before, the sensory issues, those sensations that you experience that you find so difficult to live with. For example, coping with unavoidable changes in your daily and weekly life. And we all have those things, but if you're struggling with some form of autistic condition, these can be very, very difficult. Also looking at ways you have found helpful in coping and managing your anxiety already. The counsellor may help you to find ways of being more understood by others as you do this, in what you say and do in life in general. So counselling can help you set out some clear personal boundaries which are really important for you, and especially not just important for you, but also in how you deal with other people. And this can help you manage the amount of pressure or information that is often put on you at any one time by other people and certain situations in your daily life. And it can help you identify places to spend time where you feel safe and have less pressure on you from others, and often to help you avoid and cope with any overwhelming feelings at the time. Because finding a place of safety where you can get in touch with your emotions and how you're feeling and what you're thinking is very important in gaining some form of self-control. And they can often help you to try and be more creative in how you express some of your feelings and help you to feel more understood. For example, it might be that you're very musical, or you're into art, drawing, poetry or writing. By putting some of your time and your emotions and feelings and thoughts into these things can really help you cope more in a creative way with the autistic lifestyle that you may be living. And as we said before, mindfulness is one of the ways autistic people learn to slow down in life. To slow down, that helps their emotions, and they become more aware of their body, which is often telling us what we need. And we perhaps don't often take that seriously when we're stressed and anxious. And so what often happens is we end up disassociating. We completely switch off from the world, and we try and distract ourselves and try and take ourselves to a place in our mind which is not really here. And we may feel confused as to who or what or where we are at periods of day and night. So if you are experiencing some of these struggles, counselling can help you also with these things, and also your memory, which is something else that people often struggle with when they have these autistic traits. For example, using a diary, as I've said, or writing important things down, or having practical things to remind you of what you need to do at any one given time, can really help you manage your autistic lifestyle. And also exploring your identity with a counsellor can help you with understanding more about who you are and become more of the person that you're meant to be, more of the real you. And I just want to finish by saying a few things about working with your counsellor to help you understand your family history and your home life. Why is this important? Because it may give you some clues as to why you're struggling with any form of autistic lifestyle. And it can help you have a positive impact on your health and well-being, and it can help you to understand and manage your life better. So getting the correct professional help and support at the right time is important, and from what I've been saying, counselling is a positive first step in helping you to explore this. And whether you feel you need autistic assessment, which can lead to some form of diagnosis, rather than rushing off to a GP and asking for this, try going to a counsellor to explore whether this is necessary, because it will help you to understand your lifestyle a lot more, how you can manage yourself in terms of stress, worry and anxiety, and at times understanding the triggers and how you can actually provide something in your life that's going to really help you feel more in control on a daily basis. So I hope what I've said, some of this is going to help you and help you to reflect on your life and take yourself more seriously. So thanks for listening, and I hope to talk to you again next month. Bye for now.